Hello, fifth graders. Welcome to our next math lesson. Today we're taking a look at chapter 14, lesson 3, which is entitled Solve Problems Using Ordered Pairs. And our lesson for today is going to begin on page 790. Now, the last couple of lessons we've talked about how to put ordered pairs onto a coordinate plane. So this lesson is going to talk about, okay, there are some ordered pairs already on a plane. We need to figure out what are the missing numbers that are on that particular plane. And a lot of the problems you're going to have for today deal with real world problems. So if you notice in your book on page 790, there's a problem. And here's the problem that we have. It says both Ann and Bill, they're going to earn they're going to earn the amounts that are shown each week. Okay. So what's going to happen is Ann's going to start with no money at all. Okay, but Bill is going to start with $5. How much will Bill have when Ann has $30? And so they're telling us, let's represent this situation using a table and a graph. Okay, so what we did here is we have this row here is going to represent the number of weeks. So 0 is going to represent where they started from, because let's just say they haven't started working yet. So this is 0 where they start. This is after the first week, after the second week, after the third week, fourth week, and fifth week. Okay? So this row here is going to represent how much does Ann have. This is Ann's earnings. This row here is going to represent Bill's earnings. Okay? So you're noticing that when they started, like it mentioned before, Ann starts with no money, so that's why there's a 0 here. Bill is going to start with $5, and that's why there's a 5 here. But after the first week, you notice that Ann has $3 and Bill now has $8. After the second week, Ann's got $6 and Bill has $11. At the end of the third week, Ann has $9, Bill has $14. So you're noticing that Bill is always going to have more money because he started with more money. And you should notice that both of them, it looks like they're earning $3 each week. So Ann made $3 and made another $3, made another $3. Bill is also making $3, except his numbers are different because he started with $5. So these are all cumulative totals from the previous weeks. Okay. Now what we're going to do, this would be the table that's represented. Now we're going to put this in a graph. And if you look in your book, your graph should look something like this. You should notice that Ann's totals, those are the first numbers. And if I was going to use that as an ordered pair, since Ann's numbers are listed first, those are the numbers that are going to be listed first in my ordered pair. So Ann's numbers would be the same as having x coordinates. Because if you remember from our previous two lessons, the first number is always going to be the x coordinate. If you remember, x coordinates are on the line down here, on the vertical line. On the horizontal line. My apologies, horizontal line. Then you notice that Bill's earnings is the second number. And so we put that on the second number here, and we say that Bill's earnings would be the same as putting those on a y axis. This would be the vertical, the up and down. So my first number, Ann's earnings, are all going to be the x ones, which is the horizontal ones. And Bill's earnings are going to be the second number, which is the vertical numbers. And so what I did with my graph over here is I labeled that. So over here, this would be Bill's earnings. So these would be the numbers for Bill's earnings. These numbers here represents Ann's earnings. Okay. Now, this graph is going to be a little bit different than the graphs we dealt with the first couple of lessons, because if you remember, this was the origin. And you remember in the graphs that we had for the last couple lessons, they went up by ones. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, fifth graders, not every single graph is going to be going up by 1. In this case, you happen to notice that here's a 0. It looks like it skips 1 and then it goes to $5. Then it skips 1 and goes to $10. Skips 1, goes to 15. So it seems like every other line is $5. Or if you wanted to know specifically, it looks like each one of these lines would be $2.50. But see, I don't necessarily need to know that right now, but I just want to make you aware of the fact that this interval here is a little bit different than the interval we've been doing with the last couple of days. And you notice the same interval that's going this way is the same interval that's going up this way too. So we skip a line, $5. Skip a line, $10. Skip a line, $12. Or $15, excuse me. Okay? So if we were to graph this, so 0, 5. So we have here. So when Ann's money is at 0, Bill's is at 5 right there. Okay, now the next one is if Ann's number is 3. So this we said is about 2.5. We're going to say that this number here is right around 3, right about here. And if we follow that up, it's going to go right about there, which is about 8, because this right here is 7.5. This would be about $8. Okay, and so when this is 6, which is probably going to be roughly right around here, Bill's number is going to be around 11, which would be right about here. So noticing each one of these points. And what they do, after we put these points there, we draw a line here to show all the possible outcomes. And the reason why this is here is because if this person were to work another week, for example, let's say Bill and Ann decided to work another week. This was the first week, second week, third week, fourth week, and fifth week. If we were to add on another week, you're noticing that these numbers are always going up by 3. So this first number here would be an 18. And then this number here would be a 23. And if I go over to my grid, go ahead and put my parentheses around that. If I go over to my grid, let's see, this number is 15. This is about 17.5. So 18 is about right about here. And if I go up, it's probably going to reach me right around 23, which is right there. Because remember, this line right here is 22.5. And so that would be right about, and that would fit. So this whole line is representing all the possible amounts of money that they both could have at the same time. And that's what this line is representing. Okay. So in today's lesson, the good news is that you're not going to have to worry about putting this line in. In today's lesson, they're going to go ahead, they're going to give you some points here, they're going to give you the line, but one of these points, let's say for example, this point right here might be missing, and you have to figure out what the coordinates are. And then you also have to tell me, what do those coordinates mean? Okay, so what do these coordinate means right here? Well, the first number is 5. That represents how much Ann has. And the second number here would be how much Bill has. So if I said, if Ann has $5, then Bill is going to have about $10. Okay, let's do a couple of examples to hopefully clarify what we're talking about here. So I believe this is another problem that is in your book. It says we're going to write the missing coordinates, okay? And notice we have some coordinates there, but these right here, these are the ones that are missing. This coordinate right here is missing. We're going to write the missing coordinates, and then we're also going to tell what do those points represent. All right, so in order to figure out what those points represent, we got to look at this whole graph. Up here, the graph title is jet car distance. So this is how far a jet car is going to travel, okay? The numbers over here represent the distance in meters. So this would be 200 meters, 400 meters, 600 meters, 800 meters. And then the numbers down here, this is going to represent this one represents time. How many seconds it took for that jet car to get to that distance. So if I look at this first number here, this is a 10. So the x coordinate is 10 and the y coordinate is 400. This point right here would mean that in 10 seconds, the jet car will travel 400 meters. This point right here, this is 15-600. This means the time is 15 seconds and the distance is 600 meters. So this point here would mean, when it says tell what each point represents, that means in 15 seconds, that jet car is going to travel 600 meters. Same over here. This is 20. That means when the time is 20 seconds, that jet car is going to travel 800 meters. Now, the first thing it asked us to do was to write the missing coordinates. This is my missing coordinate. So I got to make sure I put my x coordinate first, which means I'm going to put the ones that are going down. And hopefully we realize that the x coordinate would be 5 because that's on this 5 line. So the missing x coordinate is going to be 5. Okay, then I'm going to go up to the y coordinate, and it's at this line right here. And it looks to me like the y coordinate should be at number 200. So the first thing they asked me to do is to write the coordinate. I got to find the missing coordinates, and I've already done that. So x is going to be 5, y is going to be 200. But then it also tells you, what does that point represent? Okay, so in 5 seconds, after going 5 seconds, the jet car is going to travel 200 meters. And so what I'm going to do is over here, I'm going to pull that over here, and I have that written down. So this would be a good thing to put on your paper. So the ordered pair is going to be 5, 200. And then when it says, what does the point represent? I'm going to write, well, at 5 seconds, the jet car has traveled 200 meters. That's what that point represents. Don't just put down there 5 seconds, 200 meters. What is it saying? Well, at 5 seconds, that jet car is going to travel 200 meters. Okay? Let's do another one together. We're going to find the missing coordinate here. And again, we're going to tell what does that coordinate point represent. So again, we want to look at the whole graph first. This is comparing temperature changes in metals. Temperature changes that take place in metals. Now this side over here represents the metal aluminum. These are all aluminum temperatures. Okay? And the bottom number would be the temperatures for titanium. These are my titanium ones. Okay. All right. So if we take a look, it looks to me like each one of these are going up by, it looks like about 100, right? So this is 0, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000. So each one of these lines are actually going up by 100. And it looks like it's the same going up down here, right? I have 0, I go 100, 200, 300, so on and so forth. So this first ordered point right here is at 300, 400. That means when the titanium metal is 300 degrees, the aluminum is going to be at 400 degrees. This one here is representing 600, 600, which means when the titanium is at 600 degrees, the aluminum is at 600 degrees. But now here's my missing coordinate. So I got to write my missing coordinate right now. So I want to follow this line all the way down to figure out what the x coordinate is. And notice that there's no number here, but we got to figure that out. And I think we just said that each one of these represents 100. So this is 100, this one is 200, 3, 4, 5. This one is 600. Let's go 700, 800. This one here is 900. And if I follow that up, that looks like that's what that line is representing there. So that number right there is going to be 900. So my x coordinate is going to be 900. So if I go to write that down, I'm going to write 900 as my x coordinate. Now I want to do the y coordinate, which the y coordinate would go sideways. This one might be a little easier because it looks like it's pointing straight at 800. But just to check to make sure, this is 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. So that does look like that's pointing right at 800. So I'm going to go ahead and put out 800 for the y-axis number. Okay, so the first part of my problem is done. It says write the missing coordinates, 900, 800. And now what does each one of these temperatures represent? Remember, we're comparing temperature changes in metals. So we're saying here that when the temperature for titanium is 900 degrees, the temperature for aluminum needs to be 800 degrees. So let's see how that looks for what we're going to write. So when I pull this over to the side, we're putting on here, okay. So it says when titanium is 900 degrees Celsius, aluminum is going to be at 800 degrees Celsius. Okay, and that's what you would write down. So you're telling me what is the missing coordinate, and then what does that coordinate represent? So that's all you're doing for today. The nice thing is you don't have to worry about putting any of these lines in here. They've already done that for you. They probably just have a missing number here. You got to figure out this missing number, these missing coordinates, and then just tell me what do those coordinates mean. And you got to use the graph to help you figure out what do the coordinates mean. All right, fifth graders, let's take a look at your assignment for today. Today, your assignment is going to be to do pages 793 and 794, and you're just going to do numbers 1 through 10. That's it. So 793 and 794, numbers 1 through 10. If you have any questions on this lesson, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm here to help you. If you need to go back and watch the video on some of those points, please, I encourage you to do so. But again, if you have any questions, reach out to me. Good luck today, fifth graders. I hope you guys do really well. If I don't get a chance to talk to you, we'll see you with the next video.